So most importantly, this is what we used to make the table rotate. This part is what you would use for a swivel bar stool. And the reason why I picked this is because I know bar stools can handle heavy weight. So this was the first time we decided to do this type of table, and we had a lot of hiccups along the way. So I wanted to show you some of those hiccups that we had. First and foremost, what we're doing is we're attaching the swivel bar stool part to the middle of the table. This was the most challenging of them all because we had to make sure that it could swivel. That was the main purpose of it. We did make a mistake here, which you will see in the middle of the video. And if you decide to do something like this, I would advise you to put a smaller piece of wood on top of the swivel bar stool instead of putting two big pieces of plywood on the bar stool like what we did here. This will ensure that you do not have any closing gaps in the middle. Also, if you notice, we have 5 holes on this piece of plywood. The biggest hole allows us to turn the table and see the other screws on the opposite end of the table. This gives us like a keyhole almost, so we can see the holes on the opposite end, on the opposite side of the wood. And we're able to drill the top part of the screw down into the wood. And then when we're finished, we'll be able to flip the 2 pieces of wood over and then attach the nuts and washers on the opposite end. So this will ensure that the screws do not come loose. This table is a very large table. It is 48 by 48 inches, and it did take 2 people in order to make this table. Right now, I'm just assisting my husband by holding the top part of the screw while he put the washer on the bolt on the inside. Now we're gonna flip the table over, and then we're gonna also tighten those nuts and washers together to ensure that the screws does not come loose. I have never seen a table like this, not even in the stores. So if you start to see these type of tables, just know that you saw it here first, and Kicking It with Kish is the one that came up with this rotating table. This table did take us about 3 to 4 months to do, due to trial and error, and of course just regular family lifestyle. Throughout this project, because it was the first time that we ever did something like this, we rotated the boards to make sure that they continue to stay spinning. Okay. Now, the reason why I decided to get a table that was 48 by 48 inches long is because I found these mirrors at IKEA, and they were really reasonable. The price was only $7.99, and that was much cheaper than actually having this wood cut at your local big box store. Right now, we're basically just putting on the sides of the table. This side, the sides of the table measures the sides of the mirror that we got from IKEA. Once again, every single time we put something new on the table, we try to make sure that the table is going to continue to rotate. That's the main reason for making this table. So my husband did stand on it just to make sure that if pressure was applied, it'll still be able to move. Now that all sides of the table is complete, of course we have to continue to test it to make sure that the table is rotating, and it is. This work is very dusty, so I had to make sure that I came in with a shower cap to make sure none of the dust gets into my locks. We got these feet for the table off of Amazon, and I just decided to spray paint them gold because the colors in my living room is white, gold, and black, or I should say silver, white, gold, and black. So I wanted to make these feet for the table gold. My husband is very particular about measurements, so he made sure he measured all four sides to make sure they all have the same measurements all the way around. And once again, when everything is complete, we still have to give it one more spin just to make sure that it turns. Now it's time to put the glass on. I will also make sure I recommend to you guys, do not use this particular nail adhesive. Please use more of a heavy duty nail adhesive, not this Project's nail adhesive. The glass is on, and I've waited at least 2 to 3 days in between each placement of the glass. Within this clip, you will see the seasons kind of changed, but everything looks great, or so I thought. So I'm going to quickly explain what's going on here. So of course we've brought the table into the living room, and this is the final stage. We've put on all four sides onto the table. But what we did notice when we put the top on, just to see what it's gonna look like, which I want to make sure that everybody is aware of, the top mirror glass for the table that I got was off of Facebook Marketplace. It's a mirror that someone took off of their wall or in their bathroom. So of course I got it at a really good deal, because a 48 by 48 mirror glass, even to get it cut, is pretty expensive. So I tried to go the cheaper route and went on Facebook Marketplace, and someone had a 48 by 48 and they sold it for me for $50, which is a good deal. But what I didn't realize is the mirror glass is really, really thick. So this is a mirror glass. We have it in the corner, but this glass, I don't know if you can tell the probably can't tell, but the glass is very, very thick, and it's something that somebody probably put on their wall. So of course I have to take all this stuff off, but we put it on top of the table just to see what it's gonna look like, and the weight from the mirror glass closed the gap between these two, which is not a good thing, because the glass was sitting on top of the glass and it wasn't spinning. So just an FYI, if you're gonna do this project, just kind of be mindful of the thickness of the mirror, okay? I really wanted it to be a different type of mirror table. I didn't want it to look like the first one that we did. Stay tuned. So after a few days, the mirrors started to come apart, and which was fine, and we had to dismantle the top portion of the table. This is where we put that piece of wood in between the two bigger pieces of wood. This way it would ensure that it doesn't close the gap and the table will be able to continue to rotate. Now that that part is over, it's time to bring the carpet back in the living room, roll it back out on the floor, and it took 4 of us to lift this table up. This table was so heavy. I almost second guessed myself when I realized how heavy this table was. But I'm truly happy with the way that it looks. One of the difficult things was finding out how to flip the table over because, of course, the top part would still turn even though we're holding the bottom part. Now, one thing that did admire me about creating this type of a table is because I wanted to have a different look. I wanted it to be one time square, then I also wanted it to be a different shape whenever I felt like it. So that was the main reason for me creating a table like this. What I'm doing right now is turning the table at an angle because the table actually becomes a little bit bigger when you turn it at an angle because the points stick out a little bit more. Alright, so the table is almost finished, and this part is a little bit more challenging than my last table that we did together. As you can see, this table, I have it where it spins, and then when it spins, it's almost like a Rubik's Cube. So my thought process is to put some mirrors here, so when you turn it, you'll be able to see it. But when you put it back this way, you guys might not be able to see it as much, but I can. You can still see the wood under here. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna line it. I did attempt to try and line it with what I did the last time, these chrome pieces, but it's gonna get pretty expensive trying to do such a large table. So I have to try and go back to the drawing board with that. For the table edges, what I decided to do was use the chrome pieces at the edge because this gave it a more sleek and finished look. While doing this part of the table, I still was trying to figure out what am I gonna line the edges of the table with. And you wouldn't believe what I came up with. This right here is a Dollar Tree gift wrap ribbon. That's right, you heard me. Dollar Tree gift wrap ribbon. Now, the problem is, it's no longer Christmas time, and it was very hard to find the amount that I needed. But I hit up as many Dollar Tree, Dollar General stores as I could find in my area. I even went out of my area just a little bit, or had up my other friends and family members looking for me. And yeah, I was able to find enough to cover the sides of the table. As well as in this clip, I'm showing you that I did place the mirrors on the bottom portion of the table. So when you rotate the table, you still are gonna see a mirror. So it looks like a complete finished project on the bottom as well. You do not see any of the wood. Now lastly, it's time to place the top. And here's the finished look.